On Christmas morning, my husband said, "This year we're celebrating with my family. You can stay home." His mother nodded and took the gifts I bought. I watched them leave in silence. The next day, he received an email from the bank and a legal document that began with. It was December 25, 2023, in a small house in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. The snow had fallen heavy the night before, covering everything in a thick, white blanket. I had woken up early, just like every Christmas morning, excited to make it special. The smell of cinnamon rolls was in the air. I set the table with red and green napkins, poured orange juice into the nice glasses, and lit the candles I always save for holidays. I even put on the sweater Mark's mom had given me 2 years ago, even though it was itchy. I wanted it all to feel warm and cozy. Mark came down the stairs in a hurry, dressed like he was about to go to a business meeting instead of a family holiday. His coat was already on, and his eyes were focused on his phone. I smiled at him, waiting for him to notice the setup. "Hey, Merry Christmas," I said, trying to sound cheerful. He barely looked up. "Yeah. Listen, I'm heading over to my mom's now. We're doing Christmas over there this year." I froze. My hands were on the back of the chair, and I felt the wood dig into my fingers. "What?" I asked, my voice small. He didn't even stop to explain. Just waved his hand like I was asking something stupid. "Yeah, it's just easier. Mom's got everything set up, and the family's expecting us." Us? But there was no us. It was him. His mother, Barbara, walked in right then, holding her purse in one hand and a look of smug satisfaction on her face. She glanced around at the table I had set, at the wrapped gifts under the tree, and gave this little smirk that made my stomach turn. She walked right up to the tree, picked up the gifts I had spent hours wrapping, gifts I had carefully chosen for every person in his family, and without asking, said, "I'll take these. It'll save time later." Then she turned and walked out, like she owned the place. Mark didn't say a word. Didn't even look at me. Just followed her out. I stood there in the silence, the sound of the door clicking shut echoing in my ears. The cinnamon rolls started to burn in the oven, but I didn't move. I stared at the empty chairs, the table I had set, the gifts that were no longer there, and felt like a fool. I didn't cry. Not yet. I sat down at the table, poured myself a glass of orange juice, and ate a cinnamon roll alone. It tasted like ash in my mouth. I didn't turn on the TV. Didn't check my phone. Just sat in that silence, feeling it fill the room until it was suffocating. That night, I lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling. I wasn't angry yet. I was empty. Hollow. I thought about every Christmas before, every time I had tried to make his family feel welcome, every time I had smiled when they ignored me, every time I had let it slide when Mark brushed me off. And then the anger came. I got up in the middle of the night, turned on the light, and pulled out the file folder from the cabinet in the office. The one with the bank statements, the tax forms, the property deeds. I stared at the numbers, the names, the signatures. And that's when I saw it. Transfers. Names I didn't recognize. Large withdrawals. Hidden accounts. My hands started shaking, but I forced myself to keep looking. Forced myself to see the truth. At 3 a.m., I sent an email to my lawyer. By 7 a.m., I had a reply. By 9 a.m., the papers were being prepared. By 10 a.m., I sent Mark an email of my own, attaching the legal documents. At noon, while he was still at Barbara's house, an email from the bank arrived in his inbox, flagging suspicious transactions and account freezes. And the legal document? It began with, "This is a formal notice of divorce proceedings, including a detailed request for financial disclosures as required by law." Mark came home that afternoon, looking pale and confused. His phone in his hand, eyes wide, voice sharp. "What the hell is this, Laura?" he snapped, waving the paper in my face. I didn't flinch. I didn't look away. It's over, Mark. He stared at me like he didn't understand. You can't do this. We're family. I just laughed. A hollow, bitter laugh that felt like it was clawing its way out of my throat. No, Mark. You left this family the second you walked out that door yesterday. Barbara called me later, shrieking into the phone, demanding answers. I didn't pick up. I let her words go to voicemail, each one more vicious than the last. I sat there and listened to them all, one after the other, as if each voicemail was another piece of evidence. I took notes. I saved everything. Because I wasn't done. This was just the beginning. Mark didn't back down quietly. Not at all. The next morning, I got a call from his lawyer, some slick guy named Travis Morgan. He left a message saying, "My client, Mark, would like to request a meeting to discuss an amicable resolution before this escalates further." An amicable resolution. Right. I didn't respond. Instead, I called my lawyer, Teresa, a woman who doesn't play games. She told me, "Laura, we don't discuss anything until we see a full list of his accounts. He's been hiding money from you. We're going to make sure every penny is accounted for." So I waited. That same afternoon, Mark came home in a rage. He stormed in like a tornado, slamming the front door so hard a picture fell off the wall. He threw the divorce papers on the table, face twisted in fury. "You're doing this over Christmas? Are you insane?" I kept my voice calm. "No, Mark. I'm doing this because you lied to me for years. Because you walked out on me like I didn't matter. Because you let your mother treat me like dirt. This," I tapped the papers, "is just me finally waking up." He started pacing, hands in his hair. "You don't get it. My family, they expect things from me. My mom, she's under a lot of stress. I didn't want to upset her." I stared at him. I had heard this excuse 100 times before. And then he slipped up. He muttered, "It wasn't supposed to go like this. Barbara was supposed to handle the money." I froze. "What?" I asked, voice sharp. Mark's eyes darted away, realizing he had said too much. "You heard me," I said, stepping closer. "Barbara was handling the money?" "What the hell does that mean, Mark?" He tried to brush it off. "Nothing. Forget it." But I didn't forget it. That night, I went back into the financial files, digging deeper. I pulled up old emails, bank statements, anything I could find. I noticed something: some of the transfers from Mark's account weren't going to a random name. They were going to Barbara's account. Tens of thousands of dollars over the last 2 years. I printed every page. The next day, I sent the entire packet to Teresa. "Laura," she said on the phone, "this isn't just a divorce anymore. This is fraud. This is marital waste. We're going to hit him with everything." A week later, Barbara showed up at my door, unannounced. She was holding a tin of cookies, like this was some normal holiday visit. Her face was tight, lips pressed so hard they were white. I opened the door and didn't say a word. She shoved the cookies toward me. "I think we've all had enough drama, don't you?" she said. I looked her dead in the eye. "Barbara, I know about the money." Her face drained of color. She tried to recover fast, but her voice shook. "I don't know what you're talking about." I smiled, cold and calm. "Save it for the judge." I closed the door in her face. Later that evening, Mark texted me, begging me not to take it to court. He said we could work something out and settle this like adults. I didn't respond. The next day, Teresa filed for a full financial investigation, requesting subpoenas for Barbara's accounts and a forensic audit of Mark's business. Mark had been siphoning off money into Barbara's accounts to hide it from me during the marriage. They thought they were clever, but now the paper trail was catching up with them. 2 days after that, Mark was served with a court order freezing all joint assets. His bank account. The house. His car. Even his business account. Barbara tried to call me again, but this time her message was different. "You're destroying our family," she screamed into the phone. "You're ruining Mark's life." I didn't reply. Because I wasn't ruining Mark's life. Mark had done that all by himself. Weeks passed, and the case grew bigger. Teresa dug deep, and so did I. Every paper trail, every email, every transfer, I had it all laid out in black and white. It turned out Mark wasn't just hiding money in Barbara's accounts. He had also been taking loans against our home without telling me, draining the equity. He thought I'd never know. I did know. And Barbara wasn't just helping, she was in on it. They had been funneling money for years, planning to leave me with nothing when the time was right. That Christmas morning was supposed to be the first step. Cut me out. Move on. But they underestimated me. Court hearings started, and Mark tried to act all calm and reasonable, but the evidence spoke louder than his fake charm. When Barbara was called to testify, she folded. She admitted they had been moving money, claimed she was just helping her son, tried to play the victim. The judge wasn't buying it. In the final hearing, the judge ruled in my favor. Every hidden asset, every account, even the house and Mark's business, were split by the law. I got half of it all, plus full equity in the house. Barbara's accounts? Frozen. Mark's credit? Destroyed. But that wasn't the end. 2 weeks later, Mark's company got audited by the IRS. I had tipped them off with a packet of documents I had sent anonymously. They found tax fraud. Big time. Mark was facing charges. Barbara too. Mark's business shut down. Barbara's savings wiped clean. They both lost everything they tried to hide. And me? I sold the house, took the settlement, and left Cedar Rapids for good. I moved to Asheville, North Carolina, started a new job at a small marketing firm, and rented a cozy place with a garden. I adopted a dog. Spent Christmas that year with friends who actually cared about me. Mark tried to contact me one last time, sent a long email, begging for forgiveness, saying he was a changed man. I didn't reply. Barbara never reached out again. Last I heard, Mark was living in a small apartment, driving a beat-up car, working as a cashier at a hardware store. Barbara had to move in with her sister in Florida. As for me? I'm doing just fine. Funny how things work out sometimes. They thought they could cut me out of their lives, take everything, and leave me standing in the cold. But I burned it all down instead. After the court ruling, things should have settled down. But Mark and Barbara didn't know when to quit. A week after the judge split everything down the middle and froze their accounts, I got an email from Mark's lawyer, Travis Morgan again. It was a last-ditch threat, saying Mark would pursue legal action against me for emotional distress and defamation. It was laughable. They were grasping at straws, but they still thought they could intimidate me. So I went nuclear. I sent Travis, and Mark, a file I had been holding back. It wasn't just the bank statements or the tax fraud. It was everything. Screenshots of Mark's emails to another woman, his assistant, Melanie, spanning over a year. Romantic emails. Hotel bookings. Even a copy of a gift receipt for a necklace he bought her with our joint account. I had the receipts, literally. And I sent copies to Melanie's husband. The fallout was instant. Melanie's husband filed for divorce the same week. Mark's little affair was exposed all over town. His business partners, what was left of them, bailed. Even his friends started avoiding him. Nobody wanted to be associated with a man facing fraud charges, a tax investigation, and now an adultery scandal. Barbara, meanwhile, tried to salvage her reputation at the country club. It didn't work. Word spread that she had been part of the fraud scheme, and soon she was persona non grata. Her so-called friends stopped answering her calls. Then came the real hammer. 2 months later, I got a call from the IRS. They thanked me for the anonymous tip and informed me that a criminal investigation had been opened into Mark and Barbara's finances. Not just tax fraud, money laundering. Turns out, Barbara had been funneling some of the hidden money into an old investment account under her late husband's name. It was supposed to be closed, but she kept it open to hide Mark's money. That's a federal offense. They were both charged. Barbara, in her 70s, was sentenced to house arrest and had to forfeit everything: retirement accounts, the country club membership, even her jewelry. Mark? He got worse. Mark pled guilty to tax fraud and money laundering. He was sentenced to 18 months in federal prison. The day he was sentenced, I showed up in court, sitting quietly in the back. He saw me. His face went pale, like the life drained out of him. After the hearing, as they were leading him out in cuffs, he locked eyes with me. "You did this," he hissed. I didn't say a word. He wasn't wrong. But here's the thing, he did it to himself. And me? I took the settlement, sold the house, and left Iowa for good. I moved to Asheville, North Carolina, like I'd planned, and I started over. New job, new friends, a cozy little home with a garden. I started volunteering at a women's shelter, helping others who felt trapped like I once did. It felt good. But I wasn't perfect either. After all the dust settled, I had to face the truth: I'd let things slide for too long. I ignored the red flags. I let them walk all over me for years. I wasn't innocent. But I had learned. And I had changed. Christmas the next year was different. I spent it with people who actually wanted me around. We drank wine, opened gifts, and laughed until we cried. And when I looked around the table, I realized I didn't miss Mark. Or Barbara. Or any of it. They thought they could use me, drain me, and discard me. Instead, they lost everything. And I got my life back.